I recently tried the Apple Vision Pro. I'm interested in how technologies like this can help people discover the nature of experience. During the demo, one thing that stood out to me was there's this part where I saw these 8K 3D videos. And although I knew the events in front of me weren't actually happening, part of me reacted as if they were. This is the kind of thing that, as the technology improves, we can imagine this sense of immersion, of being able to believe that the events in front of you are really happening, to increase, so that someone might momentarily forget that they're wearing a headset and think that they actually are in a certain 3D space. If this is possible, though, to take, based on the way something appears, to attribute to it a reality that it doesn't really have, then that leaves open the chance that we are under that type of illusion right now in our ordinary life. In other words, there are certain things we experience that, based on how they appear to us, we believe that they are objectively real, or we believe that they have certain properties that they don't actually have. There's multiple examples of this, but I'm going to talk about one example in particular, and this is a big one. So, right now, the world you consciously are experiencing is not the real world. What it is a representation of the world. So, let me explain this with an argument. Here are some properties of the real world from a scientific point of view. In the real world, there are no solid objects, there arguably are no colors, and there is a wide spectrum of wavelengths, including infrared and ultraviolet. In the world of your conscious experience, though, you find solid objects, colors, and you do not perceive infrared or ultraviolet. So there's this discrepancy. And the reason there is that discrepancy is that what you experience right now, what you're experiencing when you go for a walk, when you drive your car, is not the real world. It's a mental representation. It's a low resolution selective simulation created by your nervous system, your senses, and their relation with the external world. So that's what you're experiencing. But just like somebody who is confused by what they see with a 3D headset and falsely believes that they're seeing the real world, we falsely believe that we are experiencing the real world when we're really just experiencing this mental representation. There is good news, though, which is you can see the mental representation as a mental representation. In order to do this in a consistent way, that requires a good deal of meditation and like philosophical thinking about this stuff. It's not the kind of thing you can do overnight, but what isn't that difficult is to get a feel for what this is like. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to try to describe what it's like to experience the mental representation as a mental representation. And then what you can do is follow along and see if you can see in your experience what I am describing. Now, quick disclaimer, I'm going to say some very radical sounding stuff, and it's important to keep in mind that this is during the context of meditation. So when you go to do like your normal life, like go to your job, for example, it's not appropriate to say, oh, you're all just like mental images in my head or something like that, right? This is very like context specific, and then you can switch to your normal way of conceptualizing and understanding things when you go up and do your normal activities. And this is just for the sake of meditation. Okay, so let's begin. What you're experiencing right now is internal. In the same way that the contents of a dream only exist within that dream, what you're experiencing right now only exists within your consciousness. When you wake up from a dream, that dream world doesn't continue to exist somewhere else, because a necessary part of that dream is that it is a perceived or experienced phenomena. When you take the perceiver out of the dream does not continue to exist. In the same way, what you experience right now only exists while you are perceiving it. I mean this even in the extreme sounding case. So, say you look at a fireplace. When you turn around and stop looking at it, it doesn't exist anymore. Because its nature is to be perceived, because it's a perceptual thing. Here's another thing, which actually reinforces the first thing I just said. What you experience when you, in the world of your conscious life is just mental imagery. It lacks any solidity. When I look at my hand, I'm experiencing colors and I'm experiencing sensations. That is a different type of thing than a physical object. It's a different category of thing. So everything you've ever experienced is like that. It's like sensations or imagery. It's zero dimensional, transparent. If there were some solid object, it would phase through everything that you've ever experienced in your entire life, because all of this stuff is just like transparent. I'm repeating myself. Lacks solidity. It's like a reflection on a mirror. It's not actually this firm material stuff. It's like light. That's a good analogy. What you're experiencing is kind of like light of different colors or of different dimensions. If you could think of like sound as like a different dimension of light, if you want to get really, metaphorical about it. Anyway, so maybe that can give you a flavor for what I'm talking about.